Let's begin. All right, so today's date is 3/10/21, and today's topic is tips. Now, I would say 99% of you have already experienced tips in your life. If you've ever been to a restaurant where you sit down, someone comes to your table, takes your order, brings you out your drinks, brings you out your food, refills your soda, or gives you more water, and then brings out your food, and then when you're done, they clean up after you and you just walk out the door. Those restaurants, we are accustomed to leaving a tip, like a thank you. Thank you for taking my order. Thank you for cleaning up all the trash I left or whatnot. So we leave a tip. Places like Denny's, IHOP, the Hungry Bear, I don't know what it's really called. Those places you leave a tip. Places like McDonald's, Subway, Taco Bell, those places you typically don't leave a tip because you're going there, you're placing the order, you pick up your food, you throw it away if you eat there. Those we don't leave tip. But when we go to restaurants and we sit down, like Olive Garden or Lucille's, those are the ones that we do leave some sort of tip. Have you ever gotten your hair cut at somewhere other than your house? If you've gone to a salon or a barber shop to cut your hair, the person who cut your hair, you usually leave a tip. If you go and get your nails done, you leave a tip. If you've ever been to the car wash with your parents or your grandparents, usually you give the person who dries your car and vacuums, you give them a tip. If you've ever stayed at a hotel, you leave tips for those people who work at hotels. So there's different places where people earn tips and where people leave tips. Okay? You might want to ask your parents tonight, be like, hey, have you ever had a job where you have earned tips? Did you earn a lot of tips? Did you get mad when someone didn't leave you a tip? Or someone that you might know? Ask your adults in your family. They might have had oh yeah, I had a job 10 years ago and I earned tips. All right. So step number 1 for tip, you take the bill. So how much was the Denny's bill or the IHOP bill? And you multiply it by your percent written as a decimal. So basically the same first step we've been doing for weeks. This will give you your tip amount. This will give you your tip amount. This is how much extra money are you going to give the waitress or waiter? And they keep that money. They don't have to give it to Denny's. This is their money. Okay? The second step, so there's always 2 steps, except for commission. Second step is to take your bill, so same number as here, and you're going to add your tip amount. So whatever your answer is to the first one, you just bring it over, and this will give you your total bill. Okay? So we go and we do, first step is to multiply, just like always. Your first step always stays the same. Your second step is just like tax, and it's just like markup. You add. So tip and total bill. Okay? So first step, multiply. Second step, you add. Okay, we're going to do a problem together. Okay, let's say we took everyone for breakfast to Denny's on Saturday. So the bill at Denny's is $42, right? Everyone got the grand slam. Okay? And I want...
What's a grand slam?
Grand Slam is like pancakes, eggs,
Oh yeah.
like everything you want on a breakfast. Pancakes, eggs, meat, some sort of meat, bacon or sausage, and maybe hash browns. So like they're known for the Grand Slam, and it's pretty cheap too. Anyways, so you go to Denny's, you order whatever you want. You know, if you want an omelet, if you want waffles, if you want, what else do they serve there? All the good stuff. All the good stuff, right? So I want to leave a 20% tip. Okay? So the service was great, so I want to leave a 20% tip. They'll ask you 2 questions, or they'll ask you 1 question. So here are the 2 questions. How much tip do I leave? And then what is the total bill? Okay, so they'll either ask you both questions or they'll ask you 1 question. And then when they ask you 1 question, it's like, wait a minute, are they asking me the first part or the second part? Right? Sometimes they just want to know how much tip, and all you have to do is step 1. Sometimes they ask you, well, what's your total? So then you have to do both steps, but just use the last answer. All right. So I know, word problems are scary for a lot of students. You read it, you look for a keyword like, oh, keyword is tip, so I'm doing tips. Cool. Go look at my notes for tips. Then you pick out the numbers. Usually the numbers in a word problem you're going to use. Sometimes they trick you and give you too many numbers, but for the most part, they're going to give you the numbers that you need. So first step, take 42 and multiply it by 0.2, right? Because 20% is 0.2 as a decimal. Then you grab your calculator, take 42 and multiply it by 0.2. So that is 8.4. So my tip amount is going to equal $8.40. That's how much I'm going to give the waiter or waitress for helping me and bringing my food, taking my order, cleaning up after myself. They're going to put $8.40 into their pocket. Okay? Now, how much do I end up paying? How much money do I have to take to Denny's? How much do I spend in total? Well, in total, I spent $42 just on the food and beverage, right? Just on the food, I'm spending $42. Plus, I'm going to give the waitress or waiter an extra $8.40. It's customary to give tip. Next time we have the opportunity to be at a restaurant, right? Hopefully soon, get back to normal. Check out to see if your parents leave a tip. They might add it to the credit card. If they pay by credit card, you add it to the credit card receipt, or if they leave it cash. Pay attention. See if they do. This is your total bill. Again, not all locations you would leave a tip. Again, if you go to McDonald's, you're not leaving them a tip. Well, like you leave a tip, Dominic, you leave a tip at Denny's. So if you consider Denny's fancy, then there you go. You leave a tip. Lucille's, Red Robin, Olive Garden, any restaurant that you sit down and they take your order, it's customary that you leave a tip. Now, the more fancy the restaurant, the more expensive it is and the higher your tip. So if you go to a really, really nice restaurant and your bill is like $300, you are going to leave a bigger tip, right? If you go to Denny's, you spend $42. That's a lot of money, $42. You're going to leave $8 extra, right? So that's why a lot of times people don't go to these restaurants. Yes. Question? Comment?
$300 they use?
I mean, let's say I invite everybody. It's a big birthday party, and we're back to normal and 10 people go. If you're paying for 10 people, it's a lot of money. Okay, it can be a lot of money. Some restaurants are super, super expensive. Some restaurants are not expensive, but if you have more... All right, I'm back. If you take a lot of people, the bill will increase, right? So it depends. You'll experience it as you get older, or right now if you pay attention and when you go to a restaurant, when we're allowed to, and you go like, hey, mom and dad, how much was the bill? Oh, what percent are you going to leave? And they're going to be like, what? What are you learning in math class? Real math. Teaching you real math. All right, let's say, yes, I dropped something and my dog just came over to inspect what was dropped on the floor. Let's say it's someone's birthday in your family and everything's back to normal, so we're going to go to the Olive Garden. My Olive Garden bill was $130. We want to leave a 15% tip. Question number 1. How much tip do we leave? Question mark. What is our total bill? Okay? Oh, before, not anymore. When I used to take Rocky to get his to bathe, like when someone else used to bathe him, I used to tip that person. So if you take your dog to the groomers, you tip that person. Now I have
Who's Rocky, your dog?
Yes. Hello, Rocky. Like the numero uno thing in this classroom. Rocky. All right. Yeah, so the groomers also earn tips. I forgot about them. There's a lot of people out in the world that we have to tip. All right. The number 1 person is, though, the waitress or waiter. Okay, so the bill at Olive Garden was $130. I want to leave a 15% tip. So step number 1, take 130 and multiply it by 0.15, right? This is where you take your calculator, 130 times 0.15, right? If you don't type in 0.15 correctly, everything is wrong. So make sure you're typing this number in correctly in your calculator. So $19.50 is your tip amount. So you're going to give the waiter or waitress of Olive Garden an extra $19.50 as like a thank you for bringing me extra breadsticks. Okay, step number 2. Take $130 and you're going to add $19.50 to it. And this will give you your total bill. So at Olive Garden, I would be spending a total of $149.50. That includes how much I paid for food, for sodas, everything, plus my $19.50 that I leave as a tip. Tips are extra money, okay? Any questions?
One more?
Yes?
Can we do one more?
Sure. Let's say we go to Red Robin. If you have never been to Red Robin, I strongly suggest you go, of course, when they're open. Don't go for takeout. Go. It's a cool experience. Very different restaurant, and they serve burgers for the most part. Go for your birthday. So if your parents are like, "Where do you want to go for your birthday?" You go Red Robin. It's very expensive, overpriced burgers, but they're pretty good, and they're fun. It's a fun place to go for your birthday. All right, so we're gonna go to Red Robin, and we're gonna spend $68.50 for the food. And we want to leave a 20% tip, okay? So your first step is to take $68.50 and multiply it by 0.2.
What are the questions?
Excuse me?
What are the questions for Red Robin?
Oh, the questions are, how much tip do you leave? And what's your total bill? How much tip do you leave? And what's your total bill? So 68.5, oops, 0.5 times 0.2, 13.70 would be your tip amount. So if they ask you, sometimes the question's just like, what's the tip? Oh, 13.70, I'm done. Some questions ask you to do the second step, which is to find the total bill. So we're gonna add 68.50. So we have a total of $82.20. This would be our total bill. So it does add up. When you do go to these restaurants, it is a little bit more expensive, right, than going to just like Chick-fil-A or going to Subway or going to In-N-Out, where you're not paying anything extra. You're just paying for the food and you go. Here, because you're also paying to sit down, you're paying for like being there and having someone help you, that it raises the price of everything. And you have to pay tip.